Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Black Mental Wellness Lounge. It's been so long since I made a video, I can't even get the title right. Um, it's Black Youth Suicide Prevention Week. This is the third time that we've done this, and as you can see, I've upgraded this one for an in person. So I am like really excited to have these conversations. We do this every week. Last week in September, if you're new to the Black Mental Wellness Lounge, what we do is that we set aside all the videos, content, and things that we do when we focus on Black youth suicide. For those that don't know, this is a issue that continues to grow and to increase, and something that I'm super passionate about. And so I use this platform as a way to engage, have conversations about it, and I am so honored today to have and to be partnering with, not just having a conversation with, but to be partnering with Black people died by suicide too. And I have Takia and Jordan, two amazing individuals here with me live. Like we have studio time. I'm not going like I can't take credit for it. It's their studio time. this is their setup here. So I'm like, basking in their coordination, and and I'm taking all their um their professionalism and things in. But welcome to the Black Men and Wellness Lounge.
Thank you so much for having us, Brandon. You are too kind. Welcome to the space.
Yes, you know we love Brandon.
Yes.
We do.
And I love y'all. I love y'all. We got connected not that well, we got connected on socials first, I
I
think, right?
connected with you because I saw you on LinkedIn and I always saw your stuff on LinkedIn all the time. And then I started stalking you and I was like, who is this Brandon? And when I was on other meetings, your name would come up, but you wouldn't be on the call. And I'm like, who is this Brandon? And then I just started stalking you and I was like, Jordan, I'm about to send him a message on LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we kept going back and forth trying to get him because he was too
It's a,
busy,
I
you know.
tried. I tried. I
He
tried.
was too busy, and then I went to a suicide assist training,
Hmm.
and then Centrice was there,
Shout out to Centuries.
and then she was like, you know what, let me text Brandon right now. I said, we've been trying to get him for at least 2 months, so it was meant to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank y'all for everything that y'all do. Y'all have hit the ground running. So let's get people connected to you all and what you do. Tell us, well, introduce yourself to the lounge.
Yeah, I'm gonna go or you gonna go.
Go ahead.
That's always, we never know who's gonna go first. Um, Takia Blackman, and I am the co-founder and executive director for Black People Die by Suicide 2. Our mission is to normalize the conversation about suicide prevention within the Black community, but also to provide resources and to provide hope. I'm a person with lived experience, so I am a suicide attempt survivor, and so I just felt like I came to Jordan earlier this year, and we were really happy and grateful that more Black people are talking about mental health, but suicide is often missing from the mental health conversation. And I was like, you just can't omit suicide from the mental health conversation. And so we got together, we started talking, and we decided that we wanted to do this. It initially started as just a podcast,
Mhm.
and me and Jordan was at this event in in Baltimore, and everything just seemed so well put together. Everyone thinks that we're more established than what we are. And so they kept saying your organization, and we just kept saying y'all, we're just a podcast.
Mhm.
So a month later, I was like, Jordan, I'm about to get an attorney and we about to do this thing. And then a month later, we filed the paperwork so that we can be a nonprofit. And because we felt like it's not just a podcast now, it's a movement. There's
Mhm.
much more that we can do surrounding education, training. And so this is just the beginning. It's our baby. We say it's an infant. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Give it up. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So, did I hear y'all right that y'all said earlier this year?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
right. Yes.
Like
So
2023, the year of our Lord 2023?
Yes. In
Jordan,
June.
Jordan, wait. So okay, so earlier this year, January till about February, and I'm always very transparent. I was in a partial hospitalization program because I was having suicidal thoughts. I'm a person who, like, yes, I've attempted, but I still do struggle
Yeah.
frequently with the thoughts. Like, I don't think they will ever leave me. I've had them since I was in middle school.
Mm.
And while I was in group at the hospital, I'm like, Jordan, I got this idea. Trying to get treatment and still trying to heal the world at the same time. And so that, yeah, we just started literally talking about it like in February. And yeah, but I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna let Jordan tell her side of the story.
Yes, so I am Jordan Scott. I am co founder and associate director of Black People Die by Suicide too. I'm a person living with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. I, like Takia, also have lived experience with suicidal thoughts. I've been hospitalized several times for suicidal thoughts.
But tell him the fun fact.
The fun fact, we actually met while we were hospitalized. That's how this whole thing popped off.
That's a wild
In
story.
2018, right?
Yes, that was in 2018. It was
That's
in
a wild fun
August.
fact. That's a great thing to lead with. Like,
Yes.
you be in a meeting, like, what's a fun fact about yourself? Hey, guess what? Guess where I met my bestie?
I was actually, I think it was my last day or my next to the last day. I was on my way out of the hospital, and Takia was coming in, and she asked me for my phone number, and we've been friends ever since. So yeah, that's how suicide kind of it became a topic that was so important for us to talk about because, as she said, it is something that is missing from the conversation, oftentimes, especially with Black people. So we wanted to start this nonprofit, really help people, and we've been able to do that so far. We just had
Fundraiser.
our first fundraiser. We just had our first peer support group online virtually. It was
I love
great.
it.
We had a wonderful group of ladies that attended. I'm so grateful that we're able to help people and really turn our darkest days into hope for others.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And so with that, like with you all getting engaged in this work, like do you all get parents like coming to you at all about like trying to help out with young people? Because again, it's something that we hear a lot, and now you all very quickly have gone from podcast, to getting into the working in the field. Like, do you all get any, parents, or have you been approached by any young people just like, hey, like, want to get engaged with the work?
Yes. Social media, when we first, before the nonprofit came about, it was when we were doing the podcast, the DMs were rolling in like crazy. Parents who had lost children
Mm.
or who kids were currently struggling, they were just saying like, "Oh my gosh, we're so happy we stumbled upon this Instagram page because the name is bold. It just smacks you in the face." Like when Jordan say, Jordan be like, "Black people do
Black people
what?"
do what?
And so parents have definitely have reached out, but even just to me personally, because they know, what I'm doing. And they would say, like, oh, this person, is struggling, or like, how can I best support them? And I remember having a conversation with actually one of my mentors because someone in her family was struggling. And I was talking about the importance of validating
Mm-hmm.
that experience and also not offering your 2 cents because a lot of times people just they just want somebody to listen to them and to validate them. Don't go on there like you need to do this, you need to do that, because that's going to make them want to shut down and withdraw. And I said you can't have it both ways. You either want them to come to you or you don't want them to come to you. And I've have encouraged them to take youth mental health first aid,
Mm-hmm.
take assist or safe talk, or attend a webinar. Just educate yourself on the signs and symptoms, because a lot of times they just go, people say, oh, I didn't know, but it's because you're not educated on the what to even look for. So yeah, a lot of parents have definitely reached out.
Absolutely. That's cool. And I'm glad that, you all are there and able to provide that support. Are there other things that you tell parents that you come across, even with, you both talking about your own lived experience, and we appreciate your transparency and using what you go through to like pour back into community. Like that's, a big thing of what we talk about here. on the Black Mental Wellness Lounge. And so with that, like, are there any other things, especially things from your own lived experience, like what would have been beneficial to you all, like as you experience those things? Because it's easy sometimes for us to, rattle off what's in a book or from a training, but like personally, like what are those things that's like, oh, this helped, this was trash, like don't ever do this thing.
I think like Takia said earlier, just giving your child a safe space to approach you and being willing to listen to things that you may not want to hear.
Hmm.
So, for example, we're so quick to dismiss the experience of children. Like, you don't have bills to pay. Um, you know, talk to me when you got a light bill in your name, things like that. But the fact of the matter is, kids have entire lives outside of their family unit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They're juggling school stuff, um, relationships with their teachers, their peers. Maybe they're beefing with somebody or they have a relationship with someone.
Or extracurricular activities.
Extracurricular
Mm-hmm.
activities. Kids have
Mm-hmm.
lives outside of, I'm not a parent, but their parents.
Hmm.
And often we're too dismissive, and that kind of will put about like a rift up between. I know that was hard for me because my parents were very you have food on the table, we have lights on,
Hmm.
you know what I mean, you're not hot, you're not cold, like what's the problem, what do you have to be depressed about? So I got a lot of that when I was a kid, and it definitely made me want to shut down. I didn't feel like I had the space to really come to my parents and tell them about things that was going on with me.
Hmm.
So I think, being willing to listen and again, accept some things that you may not be able to hear, that you don't want to hear, may be hard for you to hear, that's going on with your child. Um,
And I can add to that.
yeah.
Also, not taking it personal in terms of it's not necessarily well, it could be it's a reflection of your parenting, but sometimes it's not. It's just, with mental health, some of it could be chemical, like a lot. I think a lot of times parents automatically feel like their parenting is attacked, like, oh, that mean I wasn't doing something right. And even if you did something to contribute to their poor mental health state, still acknowledge, okay, I'm just because you're a parent, that doesn't mean you still don't know everything.
Hmm.
And just be open to the fact. And one, I know for a lot of black parents, they don't like apologizing.
Listen,
Mm.
listen.
So so I think another thing too is just to say, whether you had something to do with their mental health struggles or not, just be willing to learn, and also realize that you're not perfect. You're not going to get everything right, but it's not always a reflection of of your parenting. And I feel like a lot of parents take things personally.
Hmm.
And but even if it is a reflection, just be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to learn from that, and then I'm going to work to improve.
Exactly, exactly. No, that's some good info. Let me tell you, as a parent, it's hard. Like literally, my daughter's in fourth grade, and so my daughter came home and she's just like, "Daddy," and she's like, "That's my fireball. That's my firecracker." Like that's her. She came home. She was like, "Daddy, it." There was so much drama in the fourth grade streets today. Like, so many things happening. Like this one on like this one and this one, and I'm sitting there like, it's the fourth grade. Like what's all this y'all got going on? But that's real for them. Like that's their reality. And so like as a parent, like trying to do the best that you can be hard because you're trying to navigate all these different things. You have your own personal things that go on. But I definitely think I totally agree with what you said about like apologizing and about, making them feel like you can come back. Like, you said something, this is how it went. I want you to feel like, okay, that went well, or well enough that you'll tell me the next thing that
Hmm.
that comes up. And it's definitely a hard thing, but definitely parents, apologizing like is such a great thing because you're gonna make mistakes in this place, like in this time, like. And it's good enough to like let people know like that you're human. And I think one of the things too, and let me know what you all think about this, is one of the things I tell parents too, like, is modeling, right? Like
Hmm.
your mental health journey, because like with me and like some of those things, like my daughter always asks me, Daddy, how was your day? My son, he just like he in sixth grade, so he kind of like, hey, and then he go kind of do his thing. But my daughter's like, how was your day? And if I had a bad day, I'd be like, today sucked. Like today kind of sucked. And so she'll be like, oh, like she's not gonna ask me any follow ups, which is fine. She in full grade, she don't need to. But she's just like, oh, okay, like I hope your day is like better tomorrow. And then she'll ask you tomorrow, was your day better than yesterday? To know like it's okay to have bad days.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like those bad days are gonna come, but it's like and you're not the only one experiencing those
Right.
things. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that you brought that up, especially I'm going to speak from the perspective of Black women. Like, I even think about an instance with like my mother, and you talk about modeling. I never really saw my mother practice self care.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always, my mother had 7 children, pretty much a single parent. So I just always saw her work, 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 and like never really take care of herself, never travel, and would just pay attention to all of that. And then as I got older, I started realizing I started modeling that behavior. Even like my friends always tell me now, like, "Tia, you always like you have the zoomies, like you need to sit down," because I don't know when I gotta like Takia just like chill out, and it's like it's okay to be on the grind and on the hustle, but at the same time, at what expense?
Mm-hmm.
Like is it to the point where you burn out? And for me, I know like I have to pay attention to that because burnout will definitely send me in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So just really being mindful of that because you can't tell your children, well, mental health wasn't really talking about in the 90s, but you can't, like, even now, if people are talking about it, telling your children, like, you need to take care of yourself and you need to do this, but if they're not seeing you take care of yourself, and that's why I feel like a lot of sometimes for Black parents, they'll be like, do as I say, not do as I do, but like, that doesn't work.
It doesn't. It doesn't. You be like cussing around your kids and be like, "Don't say that." When they get to school, muff, like they gonna they going off. It does not work that way. It does not work that way. For sure. And so, too, I want to take some time out to shout out our other partner in this Total Healthcare. It was a federally qualified health center here with locations in Baltimore, servicing physical health needs as well as behavioral health needs. And so check out Total Healthcare if you have an opportunity there as well. And the reason that made me think about that, because I was supposed to do that earlier, but the thing that made me think about that was just like, as a parent, like trying to like figure out where to find resources or supports for your kids is like a super maze, right? It's like the hardest puzzle you could ever put together sometimes. And quite honestly, like, finding my kids a therapist took a little minute. They have a great um, set of therapists now, but like it takes some time and it probably wouldn't have been as easy as it was if I wasn't in this space,
Mm.
right? So like for you all, like where are some places or social media pages, like people that you feel like parents may be able to tap into to find some things for their kids?
Um,
You know, just a sidebar, this made me think about I worked as a peer recovery coach, which Taki and I have both done peer support work, but I was working with adults on the substance use side, but I was in the emergency room. And this was during COVID. And for whatever reason, we just saw this influx of Black children that were coming into the hospital with suicidal ideation or either suicide attempts.
Mm,
And it was so many people coming in to the point where there were literally no beds to send the kids to. There was no program space in the state. And the kids were just sitting in the emergency room for days until they were able to discharge because there was nowhere to send them.
mm,
So I do know that here in Maryland, especially for inpatient resources, it's definitely doesn't seem to be a lot out there specifically for kids.
mm,
um, I think even the social workers had a time trying to find like places to actually refer them out to.
mm,
It just made me think about that when you had shouted out the
Total health care.
total healthcare, the provider, because we need more things like that
Mm-hmm.
for our kids, and the kids are really hurting. I Suicide rates are going up for Black children. They're definitely hospitalization is going up a lot for girls and boys.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I definitely saw that in the hospital. So we need more providers out there.
I was thinking two came to mind, and there's one that is slipping me, but I'm gonna have to get it back to you. Um, Black Girl Smile is a great organization that does a lot of mental health work, or just like self esteem and self care. They do a lot of amazing work for Black girls. There's also Pretty Brown Girls. They are initially started as like a doll baby, and they expanded, and they have programs in LA. They're also in Michigan, I believe, in Detroit. They have DC. They're really expanding and popping up all over. And if there are youth who are struggling, and as far as like their sexuality, of course, the Trevor Project is an
Yeah.
awesome organization. Those are the three that come to mind, but I'm pretty sure there are tons more.
Yeah, I feel like the good thing is that it's growing,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
Like there are people just like you two beautiful people who like see an issue and then like try to like we need to do something, right? Um I definitely want to shout out a coma project.
Oh, yes,
Oh
Dr.
yes.
Alfie.
Yes, shout out to Dr. Alfie.
Dr. Alfie, yes.
That's my auntie. I
We haven't met her yet, but we swim in the same pool. I see her on I see her on LinkedIn. I
she's
follow her.
everywhere.
I see her on Instagram. So we like comment on things like, but we
Yeah.
haven't officially met. But me and Jordan hoping we could get her when we up in New York.
Dr. Alfie, you got some people that want to connect with you.
Yes.
We'll try to make that happen. Um, for showing the work that they do, and they offer five three free therapy sessions to to young people, and young people of color, like is super dope. And then Baltimore based Black Mental Health Alliance, definitely
Hmm.
wanted to shout them out
Oh,
too.
yes.
um Andrea, Richard, Nia, like all those good people, Roxy, doing great work over there as well, with some others that I would mention. um
And can I add
of
something? So
course.
we have, and what I can do is when it goes up, send you some resources so you can put them in the
Absolutely.
show notes. Cause I have a lot, but they all ain't coming to me. But I can send you the ones that I have, and you can include it in the show notes.
Absolutely. So definitely look at show notes, video descriptions, all that stuff. We'll have posted too. And so, last thing before we get out of here, um, what would you all like say to parents who are like trying to like navigate this space? Like it's tough on them to navigate this space, and it's impacting their mental well-being, like trying to like navigate this space. Their child may have like said they're having suicidal ideation, or like this is the first time like they're hearing about this. Like what are some words of encouragement I would say that you all can give to any parent out there um that's listening and trying to like support their kid?
You don't have to do it alone.
Hmm.
There's actually, if you have like a loved one that's experiencing, a mental health crisis, suicidal thoughts, or just ongoing, struggles with their mental health, there's NAMI support groups that are specifically for
Mm,
people that are family members and caregivers of that individual. You definitely don't have to, you can consider getting therapy for yourself.
Right.
That might help you work through, whatever you're feeling, the pressure of having to care for someone else that is struggling with their mental health. You definitely don't have to do it by yourself. You and your child are not alone. There are lots of people that are struggling. And again, I just feel like I know it seems to be a caregiver, it seems like the weight of the world is on your shoulders anyway, without
mm,
the extra layer of having a mental health issue involved somewhere. But you don't have to do this by yourself. You really don't.
I love that.
She kind of took what I was going to say, but I was thinking about when you talked about for parents, also seeking therapy, I think that is so important because it goes back to your original point in terms of modeling.
Mhm.
If you kids might be resistant to therapy, but if they see like, oh, mommy and daddy is like going to therapy too, it's important. And that's not to say it'll completely change their mind, but I do think just planting that seed is super important. Not to just be like, oh, you need therapy because you have the issue,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
but actually saying like, you know what? I have some things that I'm struggling too. And, I think given the age, share age appropriate things
Mm-hmm.
with your child so that way they know like, okay, mommy and daddy, like they have hard days too, like you said with
Yeah.
your daughter. I think is important to share a level of transparency
Mm-hmm.
with the child. I think that really would help. And I remember you also asked something and it slipped my mind going back a little bit.
Yeah.
You said, what would you have needed during that moment?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel like part of the reason I pursued my peer certification was because I was like, I wanted a me. Like, I felt like even if someone told me, like, oh, go to therapy and all of that, but I wanted, like, your therapist, we talk all the time, like, therapists, they're bound by their, ethical code. They can't
Right.
really
Yeah.
disclose certain information. But I wish that I had someone that could have been like, you know what, I attempted or I struggled with those thoughts too. Like it would have made me feel less alone. It's one thing to hear you're not alone, but it's another thing to see someone who actually is managing or like made it through to the other side.
Yeah.
And I felt like that is what has been vital to me because I even remember when I was leading a support group at a behavioral health organization, and one of the young ladies said to me she had just got out of the hospital pretty young. She had attempted suicide, and I had shared with her like, yeah, I grew up in the black church. That's another podcast episode, but
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the black church, and I thought I was going to go to hell, and I was told to like speak in tongues and like my depression would go away and all of this stuff. And after the group was over, when everyone left, she came up to me. She said, oh my gosh, seeing you made me help me realize that I can get to the other side.
Mm.
And so I
That's
feel
awesome.
like that's super important too. Like when Jordan talks about these support groups and things like that, I don't think NAMI has peer support groups for youth. But for us, that was something that we actually started doing. We hopefully we get it. We apply for a grant because we want to do wellness groups for youth.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're just waiting to hear back to see if we were awarded the grant. But yeah, I know I said a lot, but
No, I love it. I love it. Um, I love this conversation. I appreciate you all. I definitely want you right now to take all the time you need to plug all the things that y'all doing. If y'all can even remember all the things that y'all doing,
right, kid.
but take the time, plug all those things, get people connected. Um, I do want to plug too. We do have a video on mental health in the Black church. So just scroll through the Black Mental Wellness Lab, you'll find it. But I want to plug, give you all opportunity just to plug everything that Black people die by suicide too.
Girl, that's why Jordan looking at me because I'm the one that's planning all the events. Jordan just be like, okay, okay, okay. Um,
Jordan look tired.
right. She is tired. I be working her, okay? um, we have our webinar that's coming up with that we're partnering with Onyx Therapy Group with the CEO and founder is Dr. Plummer. And it's a live webinar on how to support individuals who struggle with suicidal thoughts. We also have our peer support groups called Black and Suicidal. So they're geared towards Black individuals who struggle with suicidal ideation. That ultimately brings us together. But when we had our first group, they were like, are you guys going to do this again? We were just trying to get a filler to see if people would respond. And we were like, yeah, we can talk about not just about suicide, but now that the holidays are coming up, let's talk about holiday stress. Let's talk about boundary setting with families during the holidays and how that can impact your mental health. So we are have a support group every single month to the end of the year. We are also leading a presentation with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the Maryland affiliate. We are speaking at their conference.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and
Shout out
that's
to Kate Fahrenholt.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
shout out
yes,
to Kate.
yes. So yeah, they love us. So yeah, those are, and then we're also speaking in November,
Yeah.
the Black Mental Wellness, their
Oh
conference
yeah.
as well.
Shout out
So
to Black Mental Wellness.
yes,
Absolutely.
so we those are the things, at least what from what I can remember.
Cool. I mean, y'all are busy. Y'all, I thought I was busy. This is busy, but it's beautiful work. I appreciate the both of you for coming on. And again, just subscribe, stay tuned to all the things the rest of the week, and get connected on our Instagram page, Black Mental Wellness Lounge. We'll be posting some additional information there. But again, thanks for joining us, coming on
Oh,
this
don't
journey.
forget to follow Black People Die by Suicide too.
Oh yeah, you
Okay,
gotta plug your socials. Yeah,
I know.
you gotta plug your socials.
We have a podcast. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you listen, YouTube if you want to watch. Stay tuned because we do have an episode with Brandon that we're really, really,
Yes,
really excited
Yeah.
about.
we do.
Yeah, so Instagram, Black People Die by Suicide too.
All over any social media, Black People Die by Suicide too.
And y'all have a website too.
Yes,
Yes.
Black People Die by Suicide 2.org.
Yeah, they everywhere. They got they got all the ground covered. So just Google it and just keep scrolling through all the results. But again, Jordan, Takia, thank you all so much for joining, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.